all staff on board also. So up to you, and we're ready to start when you are.
I'm ready to get started. So we'll call the meeting to order. The planning meeting for October 18th, 2021.
Recording in progress.
Judy, I'll pass it over to you to get things started.
Great, thank you. Council will start with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we are on the lands of Anishinaabe Nation. This spot where we gather is the traditional lands of the Three Fires Confederacy, the Ottawa, Potawatomi, and Ojibwe. We also recognize that this land is now home to the Delaware Nation. This land was settled through the McKee Purchase Treaty of 1790, and we as beneficiaries of the treaty must recognize our responsibilities, including our collective responsibilities to the land and water. Mr. Mayor, we do not have a supplementary agenda this evening, and we have not received any pecuniary interest. The deputations we will do under the planning portion, in which we only have one petition to read out at the time. I'll pass it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we'll start with item 11, community development.
Authorization of provincial grant for Wheatley Business Recovery Program.
Councillor Harrigan and Councillor Oche, can I get you to move this, please?
I'll second it, but I don't know if I heard Councillor Harrigan or not.
Councillor Harrigan, you there?
Looks like she might be frozen.
All right. Okay, so Councillor Oche moves it, and can I get Councillor Finn to second it, please?
So seconded.
Any questions? Hearing none, we'll put it to vote. Oh, Councillor Scotchy.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. I just have one quick question to the to Mr. Quinton. This is fantastic for the business recovery program. I just didn't know, is there any fundings available for the people who's had any impacts on their houses, their homes, or is that something that you know, is not to be expected, or is there some potential aspects for them to have some funding? Just curious.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. It's Gord Quinton, Chief Financial Officer, responding to Councillor Sakashi's question. So the province came through with this first $2 million announcement about recovery for Wheatley businesses only. I believe any future decisions first is after the full discovery of where the gas is coming from and sort of some final determinations by that team. So it's not to rule out that there won't be disaster relief funds available from the province, but just not at this time. So I think we just need to wait another month or two and let the process continue on the site.
Thank you, Mayor Quinton. Sorry there. Thank you, Mr. Quinton, and that's all, Mayor Caniff. Thank you.
All right, Councillor Harrigan.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. I just wanted to state that I was experiencing some technical difficulties earlier, but I'm in full support of us accepting these funds and this bylaw.
Excellent. Seeing no other questions, we'll put it to vote.
Council, I'm waiting for 2 more votes, please. 1 more. If everybody can make sure they hit submit. Okay, all votes are in and motion passes.
Okay, we'll go to planning.
Planning, we'll pass it over to Ryan for an introductory, please.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. The process to be followed for each planning application will be as follows. 1, the clerk will announce each individual planning item. 2, the clerk will advise if any written submissions have been received regarding the planning item. If so, the clerk will read the written submissions that have been received. 3, for any items where a written submission is received, administration will proceed with the presentation. 4, Council will be asked if it has any questions of administration or the applicant if present. 5. Council will be asked what action it wishes to take with regard to the item. Notice. If any person or public body that files an appeal of a decision of council in respect of the proposed applications does not make a submission to the municipal clerk before the proposal is approved, they are not entitled to appeal a decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal if otherwise eligible, unless in the opinion of the tribunal there are reasonable grounds to add the person or public body as party to the appeal. Information on council's actions tonight will be posted to the municipal website. All persons who have made a request or who have made a submission regarding a particular planning item will receive a notice of council's decision, including appeal procedures. Any other person who wishes to receive a notice of decision must submit a written request to the municipal clerk.
Okay, moving on to 12A, application for official plan amendment, OPA number 64, Maple City Homes Limited, Park Ave West, Community of Chatham City. Council, we have the consultant on the phone, and we also have received one petition with regards to this item. I will read it now. There were 42 signatures on this petition. We, the residents of the homeowners of Oriole Parkway, Chatham, Ontario, oppose the planned development to build any townhouses behind Oriole Parkway, Chatham, Ontario, N7M 5J8. The addresses within the petition are all on Oriole Parkway. In addition, at the end of the petition, there was one further paragraph that states, building the townhouses closer to the railroad tracks and somewhere between 869 Park Ave West and 43 Oriole Parkway, or near the plot of land 869, 877, 865 would prevent obstruction of view, prevent increase in traffic, prevent increase in noise, and prevent increase of crime in Oriole Parkway. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Jacques, you have anything to present or?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Caniff. The application for official plan amendment tonight applies to a property on the north side of Park Avenue West between Howard Road and Bloomfield Road in the community of Chatham. The entire holding is approximately 17.5 acres in area. The official plan amendment applies to approximately 13.5 acres of that parcel. If you can see in the key map, there's a narrow piece of land between the lots on Oriole Parkway and Park Avenue West. These lands are already planned for residential uses in the long term. The application specifically applies to the bulk of the property to the east of Oriole Parkway. These lands are currently designated highway commercial, which means that the current plan for these lands is for them to develop into highway commercial uses over the long term. The application for official plan amendment before council tonight proposes to redesignate the highway commercial land use designation to residential. This will result in the residential area policies of the official plan applying uniformly across all of the lands. This outcome will allow for residential zoning of the property to be considered in the future, as well as an eventual site plan for build out of the property. On the screen now is a conceptual development proposal submitted by the applicant as part of its planning submission to the municipality. In brief, it outlines a number of single detached dwelling units to the east of Oriole Parkway and a number of townhome units south of Oriole Parkway, fronting on Park Avenue West. The concept would have 2 common entrances to Park Avenue West, as well as private amenity space and trails within the development. Based on the analysis in the planning report, it is recommended that official plan amendment application D09C0321M, being official plan amendment number 64 in the community of Chatham for lands located on Park Avenue West in part of Lot 19, Concession 5, to redesignate lands from the residential area designation be approved and the implementing bylaw be adopted. Thank you.
Councillor B. McGregor and Councillor Crew, going to get you move this, please.
I'll move the recommendation.
I'll second it.
Seeing no questions, I'll put it to vote.
Still waiting for two more counselors.
Judy, it's Claire Latimer. I don't have a voting, but I will vote in favor.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, see none, all votes are in and motion passes. Moving on to 12B, application for consent and zoning bylaw amendment, Dwayne and Sherry Broad, 14974 Tietzel Line, Community of Orford, East Kent.
Councillor Pinsino and Councillor Wright, can you each move this, please?
Happy to move it, your worship.
Any questions?
I'll second that. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll put it to vote.
And still waiting for one more. Okay, all votes are in and motion passes. Moving on to 12C, applications for consent and zoning bylaw amendment, Judith Evans, Cecil Street South, Community of Ridgetown, East Kent. I do have the owner on the line and no deputations were received with regards to this item.
Councillor Wright and Councillor Pinsino, can I get you to move this, please?
Happy to move that, Mayor Caniff. Thank you.
I'll second it, your worship.
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll put it to vote.
There we go. All votes are in and motion passes. 12D, applications for consent and zoning bylaw amendment, Theodorus and Anna Marie Hoovelmans and T.A. Hoovelmans Farms, Inc., Country View Line, Community of Chatham Township, North Kent. I do not have the owner on the line, nor do I have any deputations to read.
Councillor Foss and Councillor McGrail, can I get you to move this, please?
Be happy to move it.
And I'll second.
Okay, seeing no questions, we'll put it to vote.
All votes are in and motion passes. Moving on to the final planning application, 12E, application for consent and zoning bylaw amendment, Kenna and Laura Walker, 20510 Communication Road, Community of Harwich, South Kent. I do have the consultant on the line and I have not received any deputations on this particular item.
Councillor Thompson and Councillor Latimer, can I get you to move this, please?
Happy to move it.
So seconded.
Seeing no questions, we'll put it to vote.
All votes are in and motion passes.
We'll go to notices of motion. Councillor Sakachi, you have two of them, and Councillor Oche, you have one. So Councillor Sakachi, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. Would you like me to just do the one, then to Councillor Oche, then back to myself?
That sounds good.
Okay, sure. I, Councillor Anthony Sakachi, here provide notice that I'll bring forward the following motion at the October 25th, 2021 council meeting for voting discussion. Whereas February 2021 was a historic time in Chatham-Kent as a Chatham-Kent COVID-19 vaccination clinic opened at the Bradley Convention Center, and whereas volunteers from across the community came together to make the client experience as efficient, safe, and welcoming as possible. Whereas volunteers were assigned to any variety of roles within the vaccination clinic, and they were expected to be knowledgeable of frequent changing policies and process improvements. And whereas volunteers at the vaccination clinic overcame these challenges and bravely displayed an incredible amount of passion and love for their community during the COVID-19 pandemic, therefore be it resolved that the municipality of Chatham-Kent consider a plaque or similar permanent gesture of appreciation listing the names of all clinic volunteers across the year of 2021 and 2022, acknowledging and honoring all Chatham-Kent vaccination clinic volunteers.
Councillor Oche.
Thank you, Your Worship. I, Councillor Mark Oche, will bring the following motion to our October 25th council meeting. Whereas every part of Chatham-Kent has numerous events in each town, village, and city. Whereas some events are trying to be copied in the same town, village, and city. I bring this motion forward to have management check with cities like Windsor, Essex, and London to see if they allow more than one event of the same type of event in their area, such as more than one Retrofest, Art in a Park, Chatham Rib Fest, etc. in one particular area. I'd like to have the report back for the first meeting in December. Thank you.
Councillor
Thank you, Mayor.
Sakachi.
Yes, sir. I, Councillor Anthony Sakachi, here provide notice that I'll be bringing the following motion to the October 25th council meeting for voting and discussion. Whereas the original funds allocated to the Blenheim Senior Fair for 2022 has been redistributed to the Chatham-Kent Senior Fair in Chatham, and whereas the Blenheim Senior Center plans to continue to host Blenheim Senior Fair in 2022 and in the future, and whereas the Blenheim Senior Center is applying for a Together CK event grant and looking for sponsorship, but does currently not have the ability to fundraise the portion of the matching grant due to ongoing kitchen renovations. Therefore, I, Anthony Sakachi, move that a one-time $3,000 grant be given to the Blenheim Senior Center for the 2022 Senior Fair funds to come from unused portion of the Together CK grant program.
Okay, non-agenda business. Councillor Sakachi, followed by Councillor Oche.
Thank you, Mayor Caniff. I know that we've myself and Mr. Shropshire's had some conversations earlier this week, and I do hate to put him on the spot here, but I'm just really trying to kind of collectively understand the current provincial directions and the directives, what's transpiring with municipalities around us, and I think Councillor Oche's motion may capture some of that, but I really am having a hard time understanding how so many different municipalities around us are currently promoting and doing other events. And we really have seemed to be stalemated here. And I'm just curious to see, is that just an interpretation of the current directives, or is that is it something else? I'm just really trying to streamline exactly what's happening. Because if these are provincial directives, I'm just having a hard time understanding why they're changing from municipality to municipality.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's Don Shropshire speaking. With respect to, there's been two different types of issues that we've been confronted with some of the large outdoor gatherings. The one that I think applies across the entire province is to do with the number of people that are allowed at outdoor events. They vary slightly depending on the nature of the event, but we have had a number of events, parades in particular, that we were expecting to have over 100 people attend. And at the time those applications came in, the restriction was you could not have more than 100 people attend an outdoor event or congregating together in an outdoor event. So that should apply right across the province. I'm not aware that that's been changed. If it is changed, we can reconsider the number of people allowed. But how the other communities interpret the regulations, I'm not aware of. They might be in a position where they're actually able to spread out additional people or to have fewer than 100 people attend in one particular area, but that was our principal restriction. The other piece with respect to parades is we were informed by the Chatham-Kent Police Services, Chief Khan told us that they have had some decrease in the number of police auxiliary members and that they were unable to provide the traffic controls required to support some of the larger parades. And that was also a restriction right now. I've notified Chief Khan about that, and I believe he's looking into alternatives, but when it was suggested that we use some of our other municipal staff or volunteers, I was told that the Highway Traffic Act would not permit that. So those are the two reasons. Members of council have received a message from me explaining that situation. But how the other municipalities are actually allowing the events to occur in light of the restrictions that have been occurring provincially, I have no additional information to share with you.
Okay, no, I appreciate the comment, and I just so I guess as things change, we'll be notified. It's causing a lot of confusion because I know that I've seen even local events that had a fair amount more than 100 people at it, and I'm just curious to see how that changes being outside when maybe it is a provincial directives, but when you can go into an arena of tens of thousands of people, but you can't have 100 people outside. I guess I'm just having some hard time understanding that, but I do appreciate your time in responding to me via email and in open session. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Scotchy. We share your confusion on some of the issues, and if we get any more information, we'd be happy to entertain those. And it's clear that the community wants to see some special events to take their mind off of some of the trials and tribulations we've had with COVID. So if we can support that, we will.
Councillor Oche, followed by Councillor Pinsino.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of things. One is I would like an update on a motion that I put through, and I don't need it right at the moment, but for cameras in parks. I know we had the bathroom destroyed here in Tilbury a couple of years, or probably 3 maybe now, might be 2. I don't know exactly, but that's when I put the motion through. And I know we've had some since then. So I'd like an update on that, please. And then the second one would be I don't know if it'd be to Don or to Thomas, but I also have many people asking me why it is the people that are renting the arena have to enforce people coming in that have to show their double vaccination or they're not allowed in. We're putting some neighbors against neighbors here, which isn't going over very well in some spots. So if I could get an answer to that, and again, I don't need it tonight, but I definitely would like one at least.
Your Worship, it's Don Shrupsha speaking. I can certainly tackle the one on the arenas as a start, and Thomas Kelly may have some things to add. With respect to the arenas, we've had for several months now local volunteers with some of our sports organizations, minor league hockey and skating, checking to verify that people were compliant with masks and following the public health protocols. There was a recommendation that they offer the same type of checking. They were already in place, and it seems to have been going fairly well. But when it came to checking the requirements for vaccination, there were 2 different major contributing factors to wanting to go in that direction. One is the cost of delivering that type of check-in service with all of our 10 arenas, 7 days a week, would have amounted to approximately $20,000 per week. That cost would have to be either borne by the general tax base or added to the rental cost. That would be council's decision, but there's no budget to account for that additional cost. The other consideration, and it really speaks to something you just said, Councillor Oche, is that we believe that there's actually far less of a problem when there's a member of a club or a parent of a sports association that's checking someone else that they know, the ID and so on. And generally that's fairly well received. There hasn't been to our knowledge, any experience or concerns being expressed by the sports leagues. If that is the case, then we're happy to work through with that group. But when a position that's a municipal employee is doing that checking, it seems to be much more of a sort of a potential for a confrontation. People look like they're being forced to do things and so on. Whereas if it's a friend or a parent that they know, it sort of smooths out the relationship. I'm not sure if Mr. Kelly has anything to add.
Thanks, Don. It's Thomas Kelly, General Manager of IES. And I echo Don's comments. We did look at alternatives. It was not only extremely costly, but the overall effectiveness we thought would be very poor, and that was looking at a security firm. I also would echo that for the most part, we've had good reception from most of our volunteers that they were already asking 80% of the questions, and this was an additional requirement. So for some of the groups, it wasn't a big deal. They appreciate the fact that they've been out of arenas. This is their chance to get back in. So it wasn't a real issue. However, having said that, we also have had some feedback, which by certain groups that they don't like to do it. And it's a requirement from the province, and it's the best solution we have right now. I've talked to many councillors. I'm open to other suggestions, but at this time, this is the best one that we have. And for the most part, again, we've received some pretty good cooperation from the volunteer groups. Thank you.
Thank you, Don, and thank you, Thomas.
Councillor Pinsino, followed by Councillor Kirkwood-White.
Thank you, Worship. Thames Zone Bothell Firefighters Associations would like to thank the community for their support in this past weekend's 50-50 draw. The amount was $280,505 to the winner, Peter Humphreys, which exceeded our wildest dreams. And this money will go back into the local communities, and a lot of community groups will be happy for this one. Anyway, I'd like to thank all the volunteers as well who made this happen. It was a great event, and like I say, it exceeded our wildest dreams. So anyway, thanks to all.
Councillor Kirkwood-White.
Thanks, Mayor Caniff. Two items. I had the pleasure on Saturday to volunteer at the Capitol Theatre for the Not Your Grandmother's Needlework. It was a display of traditional and contemporary needlework for the 20th anniversary of the Tulip Tree Needle Arts. And it is a real tribute to the Scottish immigrants who came to Chatham-Kent in 1804. And if you get a chance to stop in over the next 2 weeks to see the display, you will be amazed. There is some real talent, not only in the local group that has some displays in the Capitol Theatre, but the ones that came over from Scotland to be part of the display. So I would encourage you to do that. The second item is the fact that as a Rotarian, we are celebrating our 100th anniversary this year. And Wednesday of this week is Pizza for Polio Day. So I would encourage those that want to have pizza for lunch or dinner to go out and order from the restaurants that are providing pizza. Thank you.
All right, seeing no other questions, we'll move to reading of the bylaws. First and second reading, Councillor Solomon and Councillor Pinsino, please.
There we go. I move. I second it, Your Worship.
All right, anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Third and final reading, Councillor Foss and Councillor Harrigan. Can I each move that, please?
So move.
I'll second, Mayor Caniff.
Okay, anyone opposed? Motion carried. We'll go to resolution of council in closed session and adjournment.
Thank
Councillor
you,
Hall.
Mayor Caniff. Yeah, happy to do that. I move that Chatham-Kent Council adjourn to its next meeting to be held on Monday, October 25th, 2021, and that Chatham-Kent Council authorize itself to meet in closed session on that day to discuss any matters permitted by the Municipal Act.
And Councillor McGrail, you get the last vote, the last movement. You gonna move that? Second it? All right, Councillor Finn, you can fill in.
I'd be happy to second that one.
Excellent. Anyone opposed to adjourning the meeting at 6:30? Going once, going twice, sold. Have a great evening, everyone.